got a great committee, got a great chairman in Hillsborough County, Debbie, and I understand the value of what we're here tonight. The sense of fervor here that is palpable. We're ready for next Tuesday. We're ready for this November. We're going to take back Tallahassee this November, and we're going to take back the White House in 2 more years. We're going to do that. I have one minor correction in that beautiful introduction. Ingrid and I have only been married 38 years. You can't get me quite that old yet, but we're proud of it. I'm proud of those 3 children and 2 grandchildren, and the third one that's on the way that's going to be a granddaughter, we're told. It's about time. And I tell people this election isn't about me. It's about them, and it's about your children and your grandchildren and making Florida a better place for them. And that's why I'm running for governor, and I say it all over the state. I know most of you, many of you, if not all of you, have heard me say that previously somewhere along this campaign trail. It's been an interesting election. It's been an unusual one. And I want to summarize it for you tonight, where we are a week out from this governor's primary decision that you and our colleagues and friends out there are voting have to make in the Republican Party. First of all, I think on the policy issues, they're pretty well aired out there for those of us who want to look on the websites, BillMcCollum.com and elsewhere. But I will tell you that they have not been fully debated the way they should be, the way they will be by November. What really concerns most Florida voters, the bottom line concern is jobs. We're a state that's hurting. We're a state with over 1 million people unemployed. The next governor of Florida has the responsibility, the duty, the obligation, first and foremost, to create the climate to allow small businesses and others to create jobs. We need to have alternatives to those jobs that are in the travel and tourism industry, in the construction industry, in the agricultural industry. I'm going to work my whatever off to make sure that we have a strong agricultural industry going forward. I grew up on a cattle ranch, I understand it. I want to fill every hotel room and every restaurant chair I possibly can. But we need to diversify. We need more high-tech and more biotech and more aerospace in our state. We need more good permanent jobs. And we need to have the right conditions to do that, and we Republicans know how to do it. The fellow in the White House doesn't. Because if he did, he'd be reducing the size of the federal government, cutting, not increasing the capital gains tax, cutting the corporate tax, reducing the regulatory burden on small businesses, and ending the unfunded mandates that exist in our cities, and counties. For those of you who don't recognize those items, that's what I ran on when I ran for Congress in 1980 and was elected with Ronald Reagan. And I'm a Reagan Republican through and through. I never had the privilege of representing Hillsborough, but I was over in Pinellas a couple of days ago, and I wouldn't have been elected but for the north end of that county, from Pasco and Hernando and Citrus, in a very large congressional district. That's what we ran on. And we know that in order to produce jobs, and as governor, I'm going to do my part. And I'm going to do it before we wind up retaking the White House. But we have a plan out there that I vetted with Steve Forbes that he and I both believe will create 500,000 new jobs in Florida over the next 6 years. It involves about a 20% reduction in the corporate income tax, from 5.5% to 4.5%. A 10%, for those who are moving in our state, a 10-year exemption from the corporate income tax. Those who come here that are in the aerospace and in the high-tech and the biotech industries we want to recruit. And it involves the permanent elimination of a sales tax on certain equipment needed for the high-tech, biotech, and aerospace industries. It also involves a very serious reduction in the regulatory burden in our state. We are not California. We're not New York. We're not New Jersey. Thank goodness we're not. But we are one of the most overregulated states in the union. And so as your next governor, the key to success in this is reducing that regulatory burden as well as the tax burdens, and being able to also do one other thing that's crucial to this, and that's have meaningful, significant lawsuit, litigation, tort reform. Yeah. We need to have all of that. Then I will go out and be the Chief Economic Development Officer, and with refined tools that I'm asking the legislature to give me, we're going to recruit businesses to move their headquarters to Florida, to move their production facilities here, to be competitive again with Texas and Mississippi and Alabama and Georgia that have been cleaning our clocks in this regard. And we need to dramatically improve our public education system, and we need to do a lot of other things. This debate over issues in Florida should be right now, even in this primary, over these things and over transportation, energy, water, insurance. I can keep ticking off those lists. But frankly, it has not been, even though you can go to the websites and read the dueling websites, if you will, on some of these issues, but not all of them. My opponent's never posted anything on transportation, to my knowledge. And I think that's a very important part, this port out here in Tampa, and how we build the transportation system when the Panama Canal is widened here in a couple of years. And we begin to see cargo containers that, instead of being offloaded on the west coast from Asia, will be offloaded and coming through with these big ships through the Panama Canal. They're going to be offloaded somewhere. We need to take advantage of it with our 14 ports. Right out here in Tampa. We need to do it. But having said that, what this campaign now has turned into, and what it really is going to turn on next Tuesday, are qualities of leadership, character, integrity, honesty, and trust, and our records. And I want you to know I'm proud of my record. I'm proud of my record of having been elected with Ronald Reagan, of having been there for his major tax cuts that got this economy going again in the 1980s after the malaise of the years of Jimmy Carter. I'm proud of being there when the Berlin Wall fell. I'm proud of being in Congress when I participated and wrote 4 of the 10 planks of the Contract of America with Newt Gingrich and Dick Harvey. I'm proud of being there when we took over control of the Congress in 1995, and I'm proud of being there when we had a balanced budget, the last one we had, and it was a balanced budget when I left there in 2000. I'm proud of my service in Congress, and I'm proud of being your Attorney General. I'm proud of the things that Debbie rattled off to you. Our cyber safety program. I was just out yesterday with Sheriff Grady Judd over here in Polk County, where he arrested 15 more people we worked with him on. People who traveled to meet, I don't know how many of you read that today, traveled to meet children they were going to sexually assault, believing that their parents, of course these were fake parents that they made up online, but believing that these parents would sell their children. The sad reality is that parents do that. The sad reality is there are a lot of others out there who would assault our children on the internet. And I'm proud of my cyber safety unit and the effort we made to put an education program that's interactive in virtually every middle school and high school in the state of Florida. I'm proud of it. I'm proud of the gang reduction strategy. And for Bradenton, where I was speaking at noon today, a statewide prosecutor out of my office has prosecuted 3 major criminal gangs since I've been in office. And we have a gang strategy for the first time, and we're really working to take it down. We're working to take a lot of gangs down with your sheriff and with others all across Florida. Yes, and I'm proud of the consumer protection efforts on mortgage fraud, on Medicaid fraud, on so many other things that we've been working with in my office. But I'm proud most of all, most recently, of our team that's put together a lawsuit that we filed 7 minutes after President Obama signed his health care bill into law that's going to ask the courts to declare Obamacare unconstitutional. I will not go into the details of that except to tell you that it's the most fundamental constitutional question that's going to go to the Supreme Court. Really 2 questions in my lifetime about the rights of individuals versus the federal government, the idea that you can be in front of your TV set where somebody says in repose and have the federal government tell you that you have to buy a product, in this case a health insurance policy, or pay a penalty. There's something just plain wrong. The Commerce Clause does not go that far. The Founding Fathers would turn over in their graves if they thought that, and we're going to win that in the Supreme Court. We're going to tear that over. And the other one, which has a lot to do with Florida, with 27% of our state budget going to Medicaid now, they decided, even though we made this deal with them years ago, to pay a high portion of the Medicaid benefits and administer this federal program for Medicare for the poor. The state of Florida, the state of Michigan, the state of Arizona, the state of New York, none of us agreed to anything in Obamacare. They came along and greatly expanded the eligibility, said we're going to have to pay billions of dollars more without any thought of consideration of our input into this. There's something called the 10th Amendment. It's called state rights. So the other thing this court case is going to decide is the greatest and most important decision we've had on the rights of the states versus the federal government. So you put them both in one lawsuit, in one case going before the Supreme Court, and that's going to be a very historic decision. And at the end of the day, we're going to win. And since there's no severability clause in that legislation, the entire health care bill is going to go away, and we're going to start over again when that happens. I want you to think about this decision that you're about to make, and others are in a couple of days, about who leads this state. It's really too important to leave to chance. You know my record. Everyone in this room, I know most of you. Ingrid and I have had the privilege of not only being married for 38 years, but a great part of that being a part to the Republican Party, being at these executive committee meetings, being precinct committee men and women, being a county chairman in my case, and being a public office holder, and working with you with meeting after meeting. I understand what it's like to go out the last few days and make those telephone calls, walk those precincts, stand on the street corners, and sweat because you believe in the causes that we all believe in, of individual liberty and opportunity and free enterprise, and the things that have made this country great, and the national defense and our men and women serving in uniform and the pride they have and the importance of what they do with peace through strength in defending our country. We understand that, and I understand it too. So you know me, and you know my record. But I ask you one question I've asked when I first came in here a few weeks ago. We saw this fellow Rick Scott. Who is he? Why is he running? I don't know the answer to this day. I met him 2 weeks ago at a Univision debate. I guess he said he'd run into me somewhere before, but I guess I shook his hand and that was about it. I still don't know who he is. What I do know is all we know is what he says in his slick ads, and I'll tell you what, he's got, I'm told, 8 ads out there now. Several of them are attacking me at this moment because he is behind in the polls, even despite what he spent. And most of the things that he said about me are outright lies. Why is he going to that much trouble? Why is he trying to smear me and my record and things you know by telling things that aren't true? I think it's because he's got something to hide. And I think the questions that he hasn't answered are the most significant things in this campaign. You know who I am, but you don't know who he is. All we know is that when he was at Columbia HCA, he presided over the largest Medicare scandal at that point in time. We all know that he was fined, or his company was, $1.7 billion criminally. That at the end of the day, there were 50 hospitals that were raided. They were charged with offenses for upcoding, charging more to Medicare than they actually did, thousands of times in all these hospitals across the country, paying doctors to refer, illegally paying them to refer patients, and for turning away people at the emergency rooms. All of that's what they were fined for. His company went in the tank. He was fired. He left with a $300 million balloon payment to him in stock options that he's used as the basis of his wealth and to run this campaign. Now, I don't think I'd elect him CEO of the state, 4th largest state in the union based on that record. The company, by the way, wound up having to go private. He couldn't stay public because of what he'd done in managing the company. Forget whether he was involved in any criminal behavior. And now we have questions over a company he currently runs called Solantic, or at least he started. Doesn't run it today, but he started it. He has a major ownership interest, and he founded it. I don't know the truth of the charges there. But I do know that, according to the media and what we see, 6 days before he filed to run for governor of this state, he took a deposition in a case where his company was accused of the same type of fraud, very similar fraud to what was in Columbia HCA. And the doctor in that case who made those accusations said, fine, I'll waive the settlement confidentiality agreement. You can have the deposition. You can have all the records in this file. It can be open to the public. And yet Rick Scott says, no, it's a private matter. But when somebody runs for governor, nothing like that can be private. We need to know who is Rick Scott and what are his values and what is his character. I don't know. I don't know. But my bottom line with you is this. You know me. The decisions you're going to make in a couple of days are going to be between a known Ronald Reagan conservative Republican that you can trust. I don't say one thing and do something later. It's about time we put a conservative back in office in Tallahassee who's going to lead the charge to do the government. And you know me that I don't shrink from anything, and I don't put my finger to the wind, and I stand for the principles that you all stand for. You know me. Why would you take a chance on the other guy? Why would you do that? And I ask you to stand by me in this election. Vote for me next Tuesday. I believe you're going to do that, most of you, working and making telephone calls right now. And because of the grassroots of this party, despite the amount of money the other guy's spending of his own wealth, I'm going to win Tuesday. And you know what? I'm going to be elected with your support the next governor of Florida in November. We're going to win.